Hello again. As I think most people know, I never delete comments here or moderate them. This means that anybody can say what he or she pleases, and the only thing we need to worry about is YouTube's algorithm, which, by the way, can be quite ruthless about deleting comments, and I've had the blame in the past for some of its activities. This tolerant approach to critics is useful, as it reveals a good deal about those who claim to be opposed to me. The first category of these people are those who throw playground insults around, the kind of thing which I have seldom heard since I left school many years ago. Somebody who uses the name Granville Keane is one of these types. He says things like, "I couldn't concentrate on what you were saying because there was a piece of string hanging from the sleeve of your t-shirt. Oh, sorry, that's your arm." This sort of thing is still very popular, of course, among 14-year-old boys, but some adults evidently feel that it's almost as good as engaging in rational debate. I have no objection to people making jokes of this kind, but it does tend rather to reveal the paucity of their arguments. The second category merits closer consideration. I released a video about bogus asylum seekers yesterday, and a man calling himself Simon Milligan commented that there are also genuine asylum seekers, and that he had the impression that I was saying that all asylum seekers are scroungers and chancers. This is very interesting, and it shows us something about the mental processes of those who accuse me of being a bigot and racist. I never talk in absolutes, suggesting that all such people are like this, or that no people in some group have some attribute or other. It is always implicit, and sometimes quite explicit, that whenever I talk about any group, I am always referring to some of that group and never all. For example, I have not the least doubt that some asylum seekers are bogus, and I also have not the slightest doubt that others are genuine. The question we need to examine is what proportions we are talking about. Are most asylum seekers who cross the Channel from France genuine refugees? If so, why did they not claim asylum in France? I dare say that there are genuine cases among the tens of thousands who are really fleeing persecution, but are they the majority or a small minority? In other words, if 60,000 people cross the Channel in small boats like that, are most of them genuine refugees fleeing persecution? Or is it the case that most of them are opportunistic, and mixed among them there will be a few genuine refugees? To me, the evidence indicates that most of those people in small boats are indeed chancers, but I expect there are genuine refugees mixed up with them. So it is that Simon Milligan actually agrees with me that some asylum seekers are genuine cases. But I shouldn't think that anybody ever denied that. It has always been that way. Think back a little to the hundreds of thousands of refugees who fled Hungary in 1956 after the uprising there was crushed by the Soviets. 11,000 of them ended up in this country. Does anybody think that they were all genuine refugees? Or do you think that among them there were some characters who had taken the opportunity to come to the West because it offered the chance of a better life? Perhaps most were really political asylum seekers, but every single one of them? It's unlikely. This is what it's like with humans. There are very seldom cases where we can assert that all of some group are one thing, or none are something else. When I talk about asylum seekers as part of a racket, of course that doesn't mean that I think that there is no such thing as a genuine refugee, merely that they are probably a very tiny proportion of those crossing the English Channel. Most of the people who comment here and denounce me fall into one of those two categories which I've outlined. Either they are childishly rude, or they agree with what I say but do not realise it. This is why I seldom trouble to respond to criticism here. When a man compares my arm to a piece of string, there's little point in explaining to him the difference between a human arm and a piece of string. He's just being silly. In the same way, when somebody takes the trouble to tell me that among the people claiming asylum in this country, some are genuine refugees, there's little to say, because this is obviously true, but wholly irrelevant to what I'm talking about.